What's up, Cardinal Nation? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com, your home of the Canfield Cardinals all season long. It's Wednesday night, Coca's Pizza Night. Want to give a shout-out to Steve Coca, their staff, for all they do for all of us at YSN, and obviously all they do for the Canfield Athletic Department each and every year. Come on down on Wednesday night, and check out the Canfield Cardinals show. Proud to be joined by the head ball coach, Coach Ignazio. Coach, thanks for joining us again.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's getting a little cooler out, so we're getting late. I said the other day, I can't believe it's week 7. It seems like I remember watching DJ's first one with you in week 1. Your first year as the head coach here. A tough game. Let's start there against a very good Dover team. I thought you guys did a lot of things well. When your staff had a chance to go back and take a look, what are some of the things you take out of that football game?
Yeah, it's kind of an Achilles heel for us all year, just not finishing drives offensively, and a little frustration there. I think we finished with like 426 yards of offense and come away with 14 points. Just our ability to sustain drives has been a struggle this year. We get, false start or an incomplete pass here and there, or stuffed in the run game, and it's causing us. We're knocking off 11, 12, 15 play drives and just coming away with no points. We just kind of stall out in the end. But, our kids are doing a tremendous job. They've gotten better every week. They show up with a willingness to get better every week. I think we had one of our better practices today in weeks. And then we stressed the special teams phase. We gave up not another touchdown, but a big return on a punt that put them in a position that, our defense is playing their hearts out at times, and we put them with their back up against the wall, not fair to them, and we just need to be more sound in those phases.
Well, we talk each and every week about a lot of things, but that has to be a positive when you see your kids come out on a Wednesday, week 7, still wanting to compete and get better. You're playing a lot of young kids, no question. They're getting valuable game time experience against a great schedule that you guys play. So there's positives there. And, you talk about that time of possession. I call the YSU games. We lead FCS football in time of possession. But when you can't translate those into points and those types of things, it becomes very hard because of – and I want to get your answer as a coach, because you have the ball a lot. Your defense isn't on the field a whole lot, and yet there's no points. And when the defense comes back out, their backs are against the wall. So as a coaching staff, how do you approach that? You're obviously doing a lot of things well offensively. Number one, to hold the football that long, to have 14, 15 plays. But in today's world in football, a lot of things can go wrong in 14 and 15 play drives. And I see that a lot with the Penguins. It's alarming when you probably did the same thing. You just said 400 yards. Like we did a game last week, and you look at the stats, and we had 400-some yards. We held the ball for 40 minutes, and we lost.
Yeah.
How do you
it's a head
translate
sometimes.
that? Yes, you're one of the best to talk to and do things and get kids to buy in, which they still are. That's got to be tough to make kids understand. Here it is on film, on paper. There's good things here. Now we need to go from point A to point B to correct these things.
Yeah, the mistakes are pretty cut and dry. You show them on film. I think the biggest thing, and I think the way we've gotten our kids to keep responding, keep showing up week in and week out, is our coaches are extremely positive with our kids.
Sure.
We always make sure to show I have sections of film where we call it the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to praise the good. We're not going to be spending too much time on the bad, but the ugly, we got to get corrected.
Right.
And try to improve those last two categories. Keep building on the good, and there's a lot of good there. I think we've run the ball exceptionally well. Our quarterbacks are getting better at the pass game. We've been able to get Enzo a little bit of a break and play Rapich. There are times who can stretch the ball a little bit more vertical for us in the offensive game, and Enzo understands that. And he's been phenomenal in being a great teammate.
Sure.
A lot of young quarterbacks would take that in a lot of selfish ways, but they see that in our opponents too. Like Poland plays two quarterbacks, and
right.
Ultimately it's a team game. It's the ultimate team sport, and we preach to our kids all the time. You do what's best for the program. It's more about we, not me, and our kids have responded to that. But yeah, you just show them they're teachable moments, and and not just our kids, our coaches. We spend time in finding ways that we can do better. So we make our kids understand that they're not in it by themselves, and you got to have thick skin and get coached up. But I hold our coaches to that same standard. I hold myself to that standard as well.
Yeah, no question. It's a great standard. It's a great football program, no doubt. They will be at home Friday night against another very good football team. Louisville will come to town. Talk about them a little bit. I think they're 3-3, but if you look at their schedule, a lot like the Canfield Cardinals. Play a lot of quality teams, play tough opponents. Talk about this Louisville team coming into town Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, they play good football. We've scrimmaged them for years, so we're familiar with them. And then when they moved to the game schedule, obviously we replaced the scrimmage, but looking forward to playing them. And, they play tough football. They're physical defensively. They're big up front. They've got some big boys up front. And, they do a good job of disguising their defense really well, but they run downhill well defensively. Offensively, they've got some skill, and they spread it out and can pack it in. And, they do a good job of keeping you on your heels and make you prepare. And, our kids know that all of our opponents are like that. You can't take anyone lightly, and they're going to make you strain and prepare. And that's you got to appreciate that about your opponents.
You definitely have to appreciate that. The schedule that you play, the playoffs are obviously still right there in front of you.
Yep.
I think that's what I lead to next. There's still a lot of goals that this football team can accomplish. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and we talk especially with the seniors, and in their senior speeches over the summer, they talk about what this year means to them. And I've talked for the last 3 or 4 weeks that those goals are still right in front of your face. It's a matter of how bad do you want it at this point. But we always preach about playing meaningful games
Sure.
at the end of September and through October to put yourself in position. And this program has done a great job of doing that for 20 years or more. And this year's no different. I mean, we're taking our lumps, but, prior to this past week, we were sitting at the same record as we were last week. We just happened to knock off the rest of our season and finish at 6-3 and make it the second round of playoffs last year. And expect no different from these kids.
So so you talked about the seniors, and they've been through this, so that's a good thing. You've been through this, and Joe, this is one of the things I love. You've been through this. It's your second stint as a head coach, so this is nothing new for you to be in this position. What are some of the things that you want to see the biggest improvement from when you left Dover to when you tee it up Friday night against Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, some of it it's our leadership. Small senior class, and those guys aren't overly vocal leaders, but their expectations, and we've talked to them, hold the younger kids accountable. That sometimes can be a tough thing to do when, as a sophomore, you see a lot of your buddies playing in certain positions, and it's tough not to get them jealous or not understand why they're not on the field as well.
That's a great answer.
But we talk about our depth chart, and listen, you're never going to make everybody happy, but I finally looked at them and I said, listen, do you guys think before I go to bed at night that I sit there and try to think of ways to lose? And I don't sit there and think of ways to, mess with the kid and his playing time and things like that. It's just not the nature of the way a coach works.
No.
And I think sometimes that's what they think, and it's completely opposite.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I've known you for a long, long time. I've known your family. There isn't anybody that wants to, number one, outwork anybody that you've gone against. Number two, to get after things and do the things the right way. So, Canfield, I'm going to say this for you right now as one of my firmest beliefs. You have the guy that knows what to do and how to get this corrected. And Joe, for me, when you say small senior class, people don't understand that a lot of time. When you're playing young kids and there's not a lot of experience for them, their experience is game night and practice and those things. Those will all add up as you continue on here. And I think for me, when you go Friday night, I think that's the most exciting thing that I want to see. It's going to be a great game. We'll have it for you on YSN, no doubt. Check it out. But I think you're going to continue to see that improvement. When you can walk in and tell me at Koga's Pizza on Wednesday night it was one of the best practices you had, there's not a whole lot of programs that can come in and say that. And that's a credit to, number one, the young man Lumpy that came in and talked about what his expectations were. He flat out said it. There's games we thought we should have won. Yes, there are. But there's also, like you said, 3 games that are very winnable that can get you right back into the situation that you need to be. And that is what excites me about football, not only for Canfield, but football in our area.
Yeah, and he's great. I mean, kids like that are very unselfish, and he understands his role as mostly as a scout team player.
Right.
And our kids respect that because those guys that know that they may not get the playing time like a starter would be or some of the other kids that see the field, but that role is just as valuable.
No question.
Because those are the roles that, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and those kids that, a lot of times kids don't think their role is important, but it absolutely is. And, that sticks out to me. But also I listened to some of our sophomores. One of our sophomore linemen gave a talk on our school network this week and talked about his growth process as being an offensive lineman, a starting offensive lineman as a sophomore. And he said, I went in this year and I didn't even know the guys I was playing next to as a sophomore. And now they're some of my best friends.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think that gets overlooked. Sometimes everybody wants to look at record, which, yes, I get. But one of the great things that I love about our playoff system now, I like the 16-team format. Yes, when you get in, there's some mismatches. But I also love that you can play a good schedule and still get the goals that you want to get. And that's where you guys are at against a good Louisville team Friday night. Your keys for a big win. Well, what are some of the things that this football team needs to get over the hump with?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to limit big plays. I thought against Dover we gave up 2 or 3, and then we got to sustain drives offensively. The third phase is the most important phase, and we talk about special teams. You got to be sound. Our punt unit has struggled at times to get downfield and cover and give our defense a better shot, and we put them in bad positions. But those are really the 3 big things. We haven't turned the ball over a lot, which is good, especially with playing a lot of young guys at skill positions. Normally would be the case, but we've done a great job of protecting the football. It's just offensively we've got to make drives pay off and then limit big plays.
Well, let's hope Friday night they make big drives, they make scoring plays pay off. And, brother, all I could tell you is keep chopping wood, keep doing what you do, keep getting those kids to believe that they play for a quality program, which they do.
Absolutely.
They have a great coaching staff, no question, and this would be a very good win for the Canfield Cardinals to get. So good luck, have fun, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.